Well, hello again. It's been a while, eh? As most of you all know, the weather's been terrible. It's just been the worst possible conditions for fishing for months now. It's been either no rain at all or floods, and then again two or three nights of rain here in Edinburgh, and then we wake up this morning and it's like 25 degrees, you know, baking hot sunshine. It's just, I'm going to go down this way, there's a load of dogs in front of me there. But it's been really difficult. I have come out a couple of times, but I haven't caught anything. I managed to snap 2 rods, if you can believe that. my big 10-foot 4-weight, I got caught in a tree, snapped the tip clean off. And just a couple of days ago I was fishing a pool with a little 7.5-foot 4-weight, and I got my fly snagged, and as I whipped it forward, the line snapped, the rod slapped against the water. That was that. Game over for that rod. So I've got a new rod today. I have it's upside down. Okay, get me caught in a tree already. Jesus. It's a TFO something Lefty Krell Pro 2 9-foot 4-weight. It's quite a heavy rod. It feels like it's got a bit of heft to it, but I chose it because it's got quite a stiff butt section, and I'm going to be using it for fishing up in the Howlocks in the next week or two around the foothills of the Campsies around Glasgow. But I went there last summer actually to Kilmannon, so I'm going to go up around that way again, kind of Greenside, Kilmannon, Finloch, that sort of place, and I'll have a go up there. So I thought if I take a wee, like, kind of nymphing type rod, I can't speak today, and it gets windy, I've got no chance. So I thought at least with this, it's got a bit of oomph to it. So if all else fails today, I don't catch anything, this is a rod review, I suppose. I've got a new line on the reel as well. It's a Rio something or other, quite a cheap one. It was about 30-40 quid. The rod itself is relatively inexpensive. It retails usually for about 180-200 quid, but I got it for 100 on the sale, so I don't expect great things from it, but it should be a decent rod to like mess around with on the river here, and strong enough hopefully to tackle the big still waters. So I just met one of the other members and he's giving me a wee fly to try, this wee thing here. I'm saying this wee thing here and you can't even see it. This wee thing here. So I've got my usual Greenwells on, but I'm going to change it out for this if I don't have any success with that, or when I'll inevitably snag it in a tree and lose it. So first of all, I've got a thing to say. I sort of sorry, not sorry, half-arsed apology sort of thing. A few of you I've been chatting to when I've met you on the river have watched previous videos and trying to find the places I'm fishing. Now apparently, I didn't know this, there is an actual official map of the river with all the named pools on it, and I've not seen that, so I've just been giving them names as I go, like Moby Dick, Soggy Arse, the Pines. These have all got official titles apparently, so if anybody's been looking for these pools on their map going, where the hell's Soggy Arse and Moby Dick? Sorry about that, you won't find them there, I just made them up. I would say I would get a hold of this map and try and learn the names of the pools, but we all know that's not going to happen. I'm just going to name the pools, the things that make sense to me so I remember them. I'm not going to try and remember the dozen or more names of the pools just on this stretch of the river alone, let alone the entire river. So again, very, very sunny, probably too sunny to fish successfully. So what I'm going to do is just walk up the pools and look for rising fish and target them. So we'll go up to the road bridge. There's a lot of people down with their dogs there all splashing around in this stretch here that we've gone now, so maybe have a wee wander up and see what's right. Well, it's about a week later. That day I was out there, last hour I made the video, the kind of half-arsed apology. I was right at this spot, and before I got maybe 50 yards upstream, it started absolutely honking it down with rain, and it rained for about 3 days. so I put the kibosh on that. So it didn't rain much yesterday and it hasn't rained yet today, so I've come out to see how the river's doing. It's a little better than it was last time. The water's a little higher. It's still really bright, unfortunately, but what can you do? So we're going to continue with the plan we had in place last time. So I'm going to hang around here, like under the road, because I'm trying to get as little of this glare as possible on the camera. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do though. So I'm going to hang around here for a little bit, see if anything rises up around the shelter bit under the brig there. And there's usually a couple of fish will rise in this part here, but the water's like a foot to 18 inches deep in most places, so I don't really expect much. I've got the TFO rod out again with a little sort of brown midgie pattern thing on, a little size 16. So that's my plan for today, is just drift this along and see what comes up. I'm going to go up to the pool. I can't remember if I spoke about it last time or not. There's one particularly big fish. I'm going to go and target that today. So I'm not going to spend too long at the pines and soggy arse and no Edmonds and all that sort of thing. I'm just going to sort of head for there. If I don't see anything rising within the first couple of minutes at a pool, I'm going to move on and not spend any time. So chances are next time I see you, I'm going to be up around soggy arse, working my way up to no Edmonds and seeing if there's anything in there, and up to the stakes where I caught those big fish, because when I managed to snap my rod a couple of weeks ago now, that's where I was fishing, and I caught the bush in the back cast, slapped my rod onto the water and snapped it. So aye, now was that a fish coming up over there? Hard to tell. Anyway, if that was a fish, I'll have a cast at it. If not, the next time you see me, it's probably going to be up at so as expected, there was nothing really doing in the lower pools down there, down at like the road brig and the pines. All the aeroplanes. So I've come up to soggy arse. I've been watching it for a few minutes and I saw a fish coming up just sort of out in front of me and slightly ahead of me there upstream, but it hasn't come back up. As soon as I started casting over it as normal, it switched off. So I don't know if I've spooked it or what. Well, creating a big bow wave like that isn't going to help, is it? So aye, it's been a hard season so far. Had a couple of good days early on there, but since then it's just turned off completely. I was talking to a boy the other day and saying there's a couple of guys were out, caught some fish, but they were out from like 8 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, fishing it hard, you know, really hammering the river, and they caught maybe half a dozen fish. But that's like 10 hours fishing. That's hard going, you know. I don't know if I've got that in me, you know, to do that. But again, I can come out and fish this anytime. These guys come out maybe once a month or something, so they make the most of it, I suppose. But anybody that's been fishing any river in the UK over the last few weeks knows how hard it's been. I don't think that fish is interested, so I'll see if there's anything in the seam over by the other bank there. There usually is. Anybody that's fished any of the rivers, even some of the still waters are getting low to the point where it's difficult to fish them. And once again, my plans for this season have been put on the back burner, you know. I want to go down to the Tweed, I want to fish the Tay up at Dunkeld. I want to go up to the Howlocks up around Kilpatrick. But it's either scorching sunshine and no water in the river, or torrential rain making wild camping, especially exposed like that up on the Howlocks, it'd be an act of madness to even attempt it. You know, I've got other options. I could go up for a day, you know, just leave first thing in the morning and get the train out, you know, even book a hotel the night before so I can get up, you know, all bright-tailed and bushy-eyed at dawn, and then come back late sort of thing and not take the camping gear. But it's not how I wanted to do it, so I'm going to give it a week or two, and if the weather doesn't start behaving itself, then I might just have to do it that way. Not ideal, but what else can I do? It's the same thing, the idea I had for the Tweed and the Tay, you know, is get out to Dunkeld, get myself into a campsite, bugger off aeroplane. Yeah, get myself into a campsite, you know, fish the remainder of the day there, and then get up bright and early next morning. But anybody I've spoke to that's been fishing over that way has said the same thing. You know, there's no water, it's really not worth it. And I don't get to do it very often, so I'm not going to go just to go, you know. I want to make it worth my while. At least give myself a chance of catching a fish. Which I don't think is going to happen here, so I'm going to quit moaning about the weather, and I'm going to go up around the corner up to Noel Edmonds to see if that bigger fish is still active. There's an absolutely huge fish up there, so that's my target for what was my target last time, and I saw it last time. But by the time I got myself, it's only around the corner from here, by the time I got my shit together, the rain had started and that was it, you know, for days and days. So, aye, now I'm just going to sack it here because that fish hasn't come up again, and I'm going to see if there's anything doing around the corner. So I'm up at the canal, not really seeing anything moving on the surface, which is surprising. Usually I'd expect to see maybe 2 or 3 fish around the kind of that area there, about 30-40 yards in front of me, but so far nothing. I've been watching the pool for a few minutes now. There's quite a big hatch here of little midges, so I'd expect to see something. The problem I've got now though is with the water being so slow and shallow, every step I take is creating a ripple that goes 30-40 yards out, clear across to the opposite bank there, so I might as well be beating a drum and blowing a trumpet. But we'll try anyway. I mean, I can't get into the side as much as I'd like because that's too splashy and too noisy. But bloody aeroplanes. I can't complain because I do fly occasionally, frequently really. So I can't complain about the noise of aeroplanes too much. But yeah, if I go into the bank there, again, it's all giant hogweed. I'm not risking getting that on my skin, and it's too splashy. So I've got to try and move like really stealthily in water that is acting as an early warning system. But while I'm doing this, I'll have a wee chat about my rod, I suppose. A bit of a review. It's a good rod. I wouldn't have paid the full price for it, like 200 or 180 quid. I wouldn't have been happy to pay that for it. It feels heavy, like a much, what am I looking for? Like a rod with a higher line weight, like a 6 or even a 7 weight, because of that really stiff butt. It's not until maybe here, like the second stripping guide, that it actually starts to move. Maybe even higher up than that. But it's a strange one because even though it is really stiff at the butt and there's not a lot of feedback, you don't feel the line load up the rod until the very last moment. It can still turn over a tiny little fly quite delicately. Presentation's really good with it, and distance no trouble at all. I mean, I can cast, let me get into the centre here just to make sure I've got a decent back cast if I want to. If I had to get up to that riffle in front of me, say, which is about 35-40 yards, I could do that no problem and still land the fly with, you know, some delicacy. So it's a strange rod. It's like a kind of a hybrid rod. It feels like a brush pole at the bottom, but once you just give it that wee flick out and it just parachutes the fly down as if it was a much lighter rod. Strange. I don't know if I'd recommend it for anybody that's got any sort of expertise and experience of river fishing, unless, like me, you're going to be using it for everything, like still water, sea trout fishing, maybe even pike fishing and stuff. Then the stiff butt will come into its own there, I feel, for casting out big flies and controlling big fish. But if you're just looking for like a 4-weight river rod, don't get this one. Get something like the Gray's GR20 or something like that. I almost did buy that, but I got this because it's more of an all-rounder. And it does feel familiar to my hand. It actually feels like a rod I've actually just sold, which was a 7-weight. So it feels familiar, but it feels like I shouldn't be fishing it on the river with such small flies. It's strange. But yeah, so one problem I have noticed with it is because it is so stiff at the butt, but so whippy at the top, when you're lifting the line off, it takes a little longer than you'd like, and it leaves a huge big wake if you're not careful. Which I'm not going to demonstrate just now because I don't want to upset the water any more than I already am. But aye, so Temple Fork Outfitters Lefty Creb Pro 2. Good all-rounder, overpriced. Doesn't come with a tube, which I don't mind because I know then I'm getting more rod for the money and I'm not paying for a tube that I don't really need. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for finesse fishing, light trout fishing, but I would recommend it for an all-rounder. Or as an all-rounder. Right, so yeah, an all-rounder. I made it up to Moby Dick and I haven't spooked anything. There's a fish about 10 feet in front of where I just cast. If you see that sort of bush that's in the water and go across a rod length at like a 35-degree angle, there's one there, and there's one which I think is Moby Dick itself is sitting a little further upstream. But as always, we'll go for the one at the back first. It's unusual to see 2 fish in this pool here, or at this bit of the pool. There's usually a few fish down below me, or kind of where I'm standing just now, but not today. So the water's quite deep here still, so I think I should. Yeah, that's right about where I saw the fish coming up. So yeah, yep, got it. I hope I get this one in because it's going to represent about 20 bloody hours of fishing and 2 rods since I caught anything. So let me straighten my camera up. I bought a cheap knockoff GoPro chest mount and it's fucking rubbish. It never stays level for more than a few minutes at a time. But yeah, this isn't Moby Dick. This is one of Moby Dick's children, I think. But still glad to catch it. Oh, it saw me. It's got behind me. Can't have that. There we go. Yeah, it's putting up a fair fight. And it's not even a pound, I don't think, in weight, but I'll try and get it in as quick as I can. I don't want to tire it out too much, especially not with the water being so warm. So I've got myself into a... it's gone. It got off. Well, anyway, that was my fault. I wasn't prepared there. My net was, what was I saying? Yeah, I didn't have my net ready and I had it too early. But that's okay. at least I'm going to count that as a catch, because I got it down to the leader was in the stripping guide, so that counts as a catch. And I'll fight anybody that says otherwise. Yeah. It was quite a small fish there, not even a pound, but... And I'm using, as always, crushed barb hooks. Not barbless, but a crushed barb, so still a little nub. But as you can see, the fish can get off them without too much trouble. Well, at least I know my fly is effective. And I've finally managed to hook in a fish after hours and hours and hours of blanking. So if I don't catch anything else today, I'm counting that. And I poke in the eye to anybody that disputes. I don't know if I can wade up any further here safely, because the water is still quite deep and it is quite silty. But I do want to get up. There's a little bit of the bank I can stand on just beyond that bush, where I can cast across to where I saw Moby Dick himself coming up. So I'll maybe try that. I thought I'd broken the jinx there and caught Moby Dick himself, but sadly not. Oh, I think I'd have been more disappointed if it was Moby Dick and they got off. But never mind. They all go back anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I get them to the net or not, I suppose. In the net, there it is. I thought I dropped the net in the water there. Right, I'm going to try and get up onto the little bit of bank there and see if I can get out to the boy himself. Well, I've came upstream a little bit, but this is as far as I'm going to go. There's a load of youth just upstream from me doing youthful things, and there's like 2 or 3 like professional dog walkers out, and there's God knows how many, 30 dogs all running around for a quarter of a mile upstream. I can see them all the way up to the railway bridge. There's kids in swimming and dogs, and so there's no point making up there. But I've come down here to the put my arm in a thistle there. The fall away path, and just down below there's a rock there sort of out of the water. I saw quite a big fish come right out of the water there, and there's another one just maybe 30 yards downstream, but I don't think I can get to either of them, unfortunately. But I might give it a go. I'm not going to try and get in here because that water's too deep to wade down, and I don't know how I'm going to get back out even if I could get down to where I saw that big fish. So that's I don't think I've ever fished that stretch before. I know I've caught one here before in the past on a nymph, but it got off. I don't really fish this part. I'll tell you what, I've caught a couple of fish in this part a couple of summers ago. What was I saying? Aye, so I'm going to go back downstream and recast to a few of the pools that I fished on the way back up, like Noel Edmonds, Moby Dick and the Faraway Tree. See if there's anything doing there. I'm going to see if I can get down to where I saw that fish coming out of the water, but I don't think I can. Just that tree there where there's the bare branches just down below. I don't think I've ever wet a line in there. Maybe for good reason. Let's find out. Alright, well, I've come down to the Pines, which is a pool I skipped on the way out because well, I watched it for a little bit from the path, and I never saw a single fish move in about 10 minutes. Oh, got a big lab behind me. Hey, pal. Oh, changed his mind. Jumped into the water, went, oh, it's cold, and jumped right back out again. Aye, so I didn't see a single fish rising here for maybe 10 minutes or so, which is unusual. So I just gave it a miss. I thought I'll maybe try it on the way back down. And I've been standing watching it for a few minutes and I'm still not seeing anything. So I don't know if it's just been pressured over the last couple of days, people coming out in the kind of the breaks in the rain, or it's just not fishing well. It's hard to tell. I don't think there's been many people out over the last couple of weeks, and if there have been, it's been kind of regulars and, you know, the kind of regular club members, the season ticket holders, that's what I'm trying to say, rather than day permits. I don't think many people have bought day permits, it's not been worth it. So it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with the river just now. Usually, even in the worst conditions, when there's a fish over there, you'll see several fish along this seam. I've seen one, so I'll have a cast to it, I suppose. Although I'm fishing downstream again, which I'd prefer not to do, but it's just too difficult to get to these fish sometimes from downstream to cast above them with the amount of silt and sludge there is. So aye, I'll have a few casts here, but I think I'm ready to call it a day. There's a lot of people out. As I said, just there's a dog behind another fish there, and another one there. See, as you see, I talk about there's not been many fish, and then suddenly there's a hatch or something, and there's fish rising everywhere. I mean, I don't expect I'm going to catch any, but at least I'm in with a chance. There's a few pools I wanted to fish on the way down there, like No Edmonds and Soggy Arsenal, but there's too many people out with their dogs, and that's fine, you know. Oh, got it. It's as much their river as it is mine, which is to say, not at all. I don't mind sharing the river, you know. It is sometimes a little frustrating when there's people in my favourite pools, but yeah, I can always come back, you know. I'm retired forces and I've got plenty of time, so I can come fishing whenever I like, really. Okay, so there's one to the net at least. It's only a little thing, but it counts. Right, and just let me wet my hand. Beautiful colours on this. A lot of silvery blue. Let's see if we get the fly out there. It's caught in a wee fleshy part there. It's going to be... Oh, it's away. Never mind. Well, take my word for it, it was a beautiful silvery blue colour with just a few little red spots. Beautiful little brownie. But, well, I wasn't even casting out there really. I was just getting my fly in the water before, you know, to get enough line out to cast to the one I saw first across the far bank, and there's another one there, so it'd be rude to leave. So let's have a few more casts. And I can cast just to get the flow right for that one down there. There's a seam that's swinging in from the right, which is about, it's sitting just at the tail of it, picking the food up as it comes down. So if I can get into the right position, I've got a chance of hooking it. Although I think if I haven't filled it the first time, I'm not going to fill it. I think I'm going to call it a day here. Take a look at the fly already, and I've broken the longest drought I've ever had on this or any other water. It was like 4 blanks in a row or something. You know, I got one fish on, but I wasn't ready for it, wasn't expecting it. And I was looking behind me for my next cast, and it got away. That was like a couple of weeks ago, the day I snapped my rod in fact. And I've just had a terrible time before that. I snapped my nymph rod and I snapped my little rod, and I got this rod and I haven't managed to snap it yet, so that's something. But I've had one that got away and I've got one to the net, so considering how hard the river's been fishing for the last month or so, I'll take that. So thanks everybody for watching, and a special shout out again to Cornish Chris the fish. His salmon adventure has been cut short for now. Hopefully it will pick up again later on, but some of the rivers that he had booked, I've decided that the water's too low and they have to protect the salmon stocks more than their own balance sheet. So good for them for that, because they should have done it last year and they didn't, maybe the year before too. So unfortunately Chris is having to put his salmon rod away for a few weeks, but hopefully I'm hopeful it will pick back up for him in the not too distant future. His 24-hour fishing competition marathon charity thing has been cancelled too, unfortunately, but he's going to have to break out the trout fishing gear. So welcome back to the dark side there, Chris. You had your fun chasing the big fish, but now it's back to this ankle deep water, tiny little trout that won't take regardless of what you put in front of them. Fantastic stuff. Okay, well I'm going to go home and have my tea. Cheery and Rasta.